I'm on an iPad, so I'll just shut it off. And
you should give us a tour of your house.
No, don't do that. No, I don't.
I want to see it.
Oh, you all right?
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your twice-monthly podcast, temporarily delivering the juice on Joe. This is episode 104. We're going to be covering G.I. Joe the movie from the 1 hour, 19-minute mark to the cold, slithery end. And guys, no time for an intro today. I'm your host, Aaron.
Oh, I'm Ryan.
Hey, I'm Caleb.
And this is the final segment of G.I. Joe.
Can you hear the applause out there from the universe?
Got that to cover today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. We've got a special guest. We're going to chat with a G.I. Joe superfan to maybe bring some actual credibility to this whole thing we've been doing.
Is that what we're doing this for? I don't think we've ever had it.
Oh, well, I guess that's been just my goal.
Oh.
That's okay. Hey. Hi, guys. Hey, Norm. We're going officially to TFCon D.C.
Yay! Yes, all three of us will be at TFCon D.C.
October 25th through 27th.
See you there.
And we went round and round as to the accommodations, but we will be staying in the Hyatt.
Ryan's sleeping. He found a good bathroom in the hotel to sleep in.
I'm bringing a mattress.
I thought you just wear your trench coat.
I forgot. I did take pictures. It looks like a subway.
It does. It looks very uncomfortable.
It's not bad. It's not ideal.
You know, we were all talking about who's going to end up sleeping on the sleeper sofa in the suite. I think we just found our prime candidate.
Well, that's why I said I don't mind the sleeper sofa. It's a step up.
Yeah.
But you don't like to share.
Bedrooms.
So here's the
Caleb
deal, everybody.
doesn't.
We're talking about getting a suite. Ryan's significant other is coming. Caleb's significant other is coming. It's questionable whether mine is or not. The suite has 2 rooms, but they are not divided by any partition or
that would
wall.
make it one room.
Well, he's talking about
the suite.
It's got one bed.
Has the bed. I apologize. Okay. Yeah, the bed portion has 2 beds, no partition, and then you've got a couch that turns into a bed.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of anybody having to sleep on one of those uncomfortable ass sleeper
which
couches.
I totally don't mind. I slept on it whenever we were in Chicago.
Okay, so that would solve that. That would solve that issue. Except Caleb doesn't like to sleep in the same room as other people,
except for my significant other.
I remember this.
And whoever else we.
I remember, your third.
Home. Yeah.
I remember this from childhood. You never would stay over at anybody's house.
I did, but I had a lot of. I was really
a lot of like NyQuil
anxiety. A lot of anxiety.
You told me a story once about I think it was your grandmother's house with a weird spotlight out the window.
It wasn't a spotlight. That would be weird.
I think it was called the moon.
My grandmother, yeah, she would shine a spotlight in the window.
This is a creepypasta.
Just a street light. But you know what? I was too dumb to shut the curtains, so
I feel like
it was all messed up.
I feel like you told me that as an excuse as not to stay at my place, but really because you didn't want to say I just don't want to stay, you came up with like I can't sleep at other people's
all of those
places.
things are true, actually. They're all true.
Okay.
It's just so I don't want to share a room. I'm gonna get my own room. But we're going.
But so which room our listeners are going to be joining us in at the special APDC romance hour party that we'll be having?
The APDC AD hour.
We'll let you know when and where that is.
I'm very glad.
And how that is.
I don't know. This is going to be.
And what kind of slippery substances to bring.
Yep.
Cold slither.
Definitely get my own room.
Cold slither. I love it.
All wrong.
After we'll be there. Aaron and I at least are staying Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then after that, actually West and I are going to take the train to D.C. Or not to D.C. to New York City. We're going to go from Penn Station to Union Station, and West and I are going to stay in New York City until my birthday, that Thursday.
I hear that the train stations there have really awesome bathrooms.
Yeah, I bet. I just go take a nap and I leave West all alone with the luggage in the terminal.
She'd be fine. She can take care of herself.
We're
she has to.
One of the things we're going specifically to do is to see Beetlejuice on Broadway.
Cool.
What are the reviews on it so far?
Great. It's won some Tonys.
Oh, well, how about that?
Yeah. Any listeners with restaurant recommendations in New York, let me know. We're definitely going to eat that dumpling place in Chinatown that I went to, and you and Melody went to, Aaron. It's so good.
It was one of my favorites. I have some restaurants that I do not recommend that I'll throw away.
Maybe I'll make some videos like I did last time I went to D.C. Listeners, go check those out on YouTube. Ryan Jett. I'm not the MMA guy.
Get some hits.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4. They're funny. I'm funny.
Because this is the last episode of G.I. Joe, you know what we've got to do, guys.
We've got to select a winner for the G.I.
Joe challenge.
Yeah, I looked it up, and I was wrong this whole time. We have 3 people who entered. So you all have a 33% chance.
Okay.
That would be...
well, first of all, you've got At All Are Dead, All Hail Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've got Alpha Magnus.
At
Alpha Magnus. And, of course, Professor Insane at Insane Galvatron. Guys, those are the 3 potential participants here. I've written their names on a piece of paper. This is a very official thing to do here.
We have a hat.
I'm tearing it into...
You're tearing the names
up.
We have a hat. We are putting it in said hat. And we're going to do this drawing. Who wants to do it?
You do it, Caleb. It's your contest.
That you have fully supported throughout this entire run.
What a dumpster fire of a contest.
All right, we're putting the hat close to the... Okay, let's mix it up.
Rummage around
We
in
got
there.
this.
Okay.
Pull the thing out of the hat.
Okay.
It's an audio
Look at
medium.
Yeah, it's like, no, let me try this. All right, so wait a minute. Before we do this, so... I don't want to.
I'm gonna tell you who I don't want to win.
No, we're not doing that shit.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I hope
win.
a G.I. Joe fan wins. And
First
so basically, I'm saying I hope that All Hail Megatron does not win.
First of all, none of these people I don't think are that big G.I. Joe fans. 2/3 of them have openly said they don't care about this.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, that's right. Before you draw it out, put it away a second.
Yeah.
We are going to remind everybody what they're playing for.
Okay.
Which is APDC swag, which includes our button set, Series 1, a poster,
The Cup
recruitment poster, an official APDC logo T-shirt.
Which, aside from Mike Seibert, you'll be the only one besides us to have it.
That's pretty
true.
big.
That is you will be you'll be number 5 of 5 on those T-shirts. And Ryan,
I will do you a black and white commission of your choice within reason.
And as a consolation prize for those, since so few actually entered, we'd like to offer a consolation of your choice of button or poster, depending on what you may have.
The poster being
or may not have.
The Cup recruitment.
The Cup recruitment poster versus Pin
I think
Series.
that's fair.
Number 1.
All right.
Let's do the drawing
for the win.
I've got it. All right.
out of the hat.
The winner is...
Interesting.
Okay.
It is All Hail.
Shockwave.
Shockwave. So,
Shockwave.
the person that cares the least and did the least amount of effort wins.
And has been very antagonistic as to this whole process.
Let's revisit the G.I. Joe profile created by
Haley.
All Hail Megatron at All Are Dead. Codename Shockwave, Lonely Scientist, primary military specialty Shock, secondary military specialty Wave, birthplace Cybertron. Profile, it's just fucking Shockwave.
This is actually perfect. This works out for this, like Caleb said, dumpster fire of a contest. To have this ending is perfect.
Okay, so so congratulations to All Hail.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be contacting you and
DM me. Tell me what you want me to draw.
DM Ryan. He'll draw you something. Alpha.
Nothing too dirty now.
I think she'll be
That's
fine.
between you guys. And then Alpha Magnus and Professor Insane. Thank you so much for
absolutely
for participating. And
DM us your preference of poster or buttons, and in the case of Alpha Magnus, who may have both.
I don't know what we'll do.
Let's figure it out. We'll figure it out. But you're going to get something. And just
but thank you so much for all 3 of you doing this dumb shit thing that we came up with.
I thought this would be such an awesome contest. This did not.
It's perfect. This is the perfect APDC
Yeah.
like garbage. This is how all our shit goes.
This thing lasted as long as and had the impact of a tire fire.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's great.
One more thing that I wanted to get into was a shout out here. We've talked many times about Bearz on this podcast.
Can you give it the backstory on this real quick?
Well, the backstory is Bearz Rule gave us would say nice things about us in an iTunes
An
review.
early adopter.
He would, and I presume and now I think that presumption is accurate, would leave very nice reviews in concert with a very random quote from a movie, and we'd have fun trying to figure out what that movie was. And he did it 2 or 3 times. But every time you leave a review, it replaces your old review. So it's not like you count and get a new review. It's just a different review. I would joke about how, hey, why don't you sign up for extra if you're going to do that effort? Maybe a little more effort and sign up for extra iTunes.
Maybe
accounts.
Another instance of like tarrying a joke on way too long and people take it too seriously.
Stack up the reviews, make us look more popular than we are. And what ended up happening
Instead of any of that,
where all the reviews disappeared, and I took that as we took it for granted, and he just disappeared off the scene and made himself a T-shirt
salted
that said,
the earth.
"Fuck Autopod Decepticast."
And we would talk about him on occasion, bring him up. So anyway,
I assume he's been listening. I assume. Well, we thought he was gone, but he must have been listening all this time because we got an interesting Twitter shout out, and it is a picture of a gentleman and perhaps his daughter, I will presume, hanging out with Sergeant Slaughter in the hallway of some nondescript building. It's
Probably a convention or something.
Yeah, it's got to be.
But that handle,
the name of the person, Bearz Rule 7376 on Twitter. I think it's okay. It's a public forum for me to say that, right? We're not giving away somebody's identity.
He publicly talked to us.
Has he been around this whole time, or is he just dipping his toes back in? Or
is the fact we mentioned him going to mean he's going to disappear again? It's like is he in some kind of program, like a witness protection program, and now we fucked it up again?
I'm pretty sure it's a bot.
I'm pretty sure. That would be an amazing AI that it can come up with quotes from obscure movies.
Is it a bot that just tracks people who look gift horses in the mouth?
So that was a nice surprise.
I didn't even notice the name until one of you pointed it out.
It's the little things, you know. And
Bearz is back, baby.
We're so desperate for attention. We're so pathetic. We're so.
If you even barely talk to us, we'll probably interact with you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people that talk to us or used to talk to us.
Oh, okay.
I'm feeling a little salty, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you remember we made like a light little joke at the fact that, so many mics.
You made something.
Well, put it back on me. I don't think I was the only one that said that, we were talking about how when you got people whose names sound similar and how you don't want them around. And
I take responsibility for some of this, yes. I remember this now.
I'm totally blameless.
And we suggested, jokingly, that one of the mics in our lives.
We've got a Mike Seibert and we've got a Mike Andrews.
And
we talk about how those guys it's confusing.
We got to dump one of them.
So one of our little comebacks that we thought was so witty was like, well, there's only room for one mic. Mm-hmm. To which they decided to say that they're going to just start their own podcast.
That's right. So we playfully suggested that maybe only one mic in our lives. They've taken it, in my opinion, too far. And on Twitter, they're conspiring against us because they claim we don't have the hardware for it. They came up with several names, 2 mics, too furious, 2 mics, no feedback. I'm sure a reference to our questionable quality of our audio. And you know what? I've had enough.
Okay.
I've had enough of this. And so I'm going to take the opportunity to lay down the law right now. Are you guys ready for this?
I don't know what's going to happen.
This has been a real Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds back and forth we got going with the mics here. It's a celebrity face-off.
I'm really not sure what's about to happen.
You're going to find out what's happened. Caleb, drop the beat.
Ah!
What?
This is a shout out to all those podcasters and writers out there who think they can talk shit about the APDC. Here we go. From the darkest depths of Tarn comes the bomb, sound the alarm. Cause real shit's going on, it's the APDC. Coming at ya, gonna get ya, brain splat ya on the wind. Shield, no force field will protect you from the verbal laser cannon. The lyrical dragon, skills as big as wells as he swells into a horn planet. God damn it, I heard you said we took a trip to the burn ward. My God. Silly Seattleite and a bloated Minnesota thought they had the oats to wrap their coats around our throats. Well, that's not happening. Keep napping it, cause it's a dream to think to see the APD bloodstream. Coming of age, you'll see me coming with rage as I split your basilisk bits with the twist of my wrist. I'll take all your gems, I'll take all your M's, ma. I'll show you who's hard and I'll show you fucking where. 2 mics, too furious with blood clots in your hair. I swear, Mike and Mike. More like Mike and Ike with your candy-ass style and your artificial flavors. It's a favor to drown you out. No lifesavers. You signed the waivers. Call the engravers. You think you can take us on? That's like Wheatley trying to bomb a whole squad of Decepticons. Like Swerve getting stomped by the claws of Tripticon. Like Magnus getting courted by the suits on Junkie on. Must I go on? That's right. This goes out to all those podcasters pushing beef. Whether you at the lake house or the coffee shop, when you come, you better come correct, because it's a fucking mic drop.
Oh! It really falls apart at the end. I didn't get to practice the end as much.
That was good.
That was amazing.
That was a lot better than I thought it would be.
You
Thought that was your lyrics were on point, dude. Coming of age, coming with rage.
That's right.
That's awesome.
I think my favorite line is skills as big as wells as he swells into a planet.
That's pretty good. I liked the part about taking M.
That was a nice little
For the 3 people in the room who could get the joke. Well, both Mikes will get it.
Well, enough sucking my own D. Mike and Mike, let's see what you got next.
Come correct.
That's right. Last episode recap. Woo! Let's actually talk about G.I. Joe for a little
For the last time.
It's all about that Cobra. La, 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 la. And they've got the BET, and it's broadcasting, well, transmitting, if you will, and the spacey spores are getting all soaked in transmitted energy.
I think broadcasting, since it's in the name of the object, is
It's not called the TET.
Globulus has his counterpillar of chronology.
Yes, the minute-pede.
And this this world is gonna fucking end. And when we learned that you can't just have a meeting at Joe headquarters without cocking a fucking shotgun.
Absolutely.
Every single non-comatose Joe heads to the Himalayas. Every Joe base in the world is left unguarded, which means I'm gonna go steal me a fucking Havoc.
You're gonna go for the Havoc? I think I'm gonna get a Tomahawk.
Well, not bad, not bad. You want one of them planes? What are those called? With the wings that face forward?
I want one of the Cobra flying bubble pods.
Well, maybe there's one laying around what used to be the
wreckage of the
Terror
swamp.
Roadblock chokes out Cobra Commander Snake while wrestling on the freshly fallen
Stop
snow.
saying that.
They rolled into some Joes who managed to bring back Roadblock's sight, a little Visine and flashlight action, but destroyed all hope of Cobra Commander being returned to his less slippery
I can't
self.
do anything for the snake.
Hawk's dumb unit gets captured, despite Roadblock's rhyming reminder that those plants will eat yo ass, and not in the good way.
Okay.
But the Rawhides show up, steal some swamp fires, shoot up some chutes. This releases the captured Joe team and kicks off a battle royale full of karate moves, ninja moves, wrestling moves, and just some good old fashioned punching.
Would you say that the Rawhides have had their asses eaten in a bad way?
No, they haven't had that rough a time, actually.
I wouldn't say that at all. It seems like they were doing great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
This has been easy street for those guys, honestly. Beachhead, that's nothing.
What are you doing?
What I'm saying is they're called Rawhides. Get that? You didn't get their asses are raw.
I don't think it works.
Rawhides.
Nah.
Did you get that, or
Are you,
did
are you talking about raw dogging? Are you saying
their
raw?
hides
Have they been
are
raw
raw
dogged?
I didn't
from
get
having their asses eat?
Is
Is it a good or bad way?
I
That
did-
was the question, and I think it went right.
If I
over
just
your-
say good way, well, can we move on?
I don't care.
I thought maybe you did that unintentionally because if
Why
you were
would I
doing
do
it,
that?
Intentionally, I just don't think it works.
Caleb, you're normally the best.
You need to work on your dirty humor. Stick to the clean street. And let me do the blue work.
You got it. Fine.
You got it.
You just ride your biter-cycle.
You biter your miter.
You just ride your bicycle through the neighborhood, ring on doorbells, and bring people Jesus, okay?
Oh, is he in the bike?
Yeah.
He's on the bike.
That's when I carried you. Wow.
The beach just has bike tracks. Okay, sorry, Caleb.
Right, huh?
Let's get into the Joe review, people. Right at the top of the 19-minute mark, we open up all the Joes and a slithery Cobra Commander running down a path towards the BET. Pretty creepy. And then we see Serpentor. He's alarmed that the Joes are storming the palace, but Globulus is like, calm down, baby boo, I gotcha. And he unleashes all the organic horrors that Cobra Law has to offer.
He says
to defend his place.
organisms of Cobra Law detach and defend. This part. We just turned the freakness like up to 11. They're like, and it really was like, I was very distracted because I'm like, they're living organisms just chilling part of the structure like 24/7.
I mean, I guess some of these structures you could probably guess maybe had something else going on. But I mean, it's basically like every rock and stalk of grass is actually alive. Yes.
Which is upsetting.
Nothing surprises me at this point.
Yeah, it's just when you thought Cobra Law couldn't get any more disgusting. Here you go. What I wrote was, we see that every rock and stalk is croaking feral.
I love that. Croaking Feral is my favorite band.
The very first things you see kind of remind me of the dogs from Ghostbusters, but except they've got these giant
Tails.
Snail shell tail things, and then this boulder apparently is a tick. I don't know.
It's all gross. It's all so gross.
Yeah, don't love it. Then you've got Sergeant Slaughter, who crosses a bridge that then comes to life and is a mantid of some sort. We're going to see Sergeant Slaughter use the butt of his gun a lot in this sequence.
Yeah, I have that note too, but like this is one of the only, if not the only instance where it shows that their guns do run out of ammo. Because he tries to shoot at it and it just fizzles. He hits the mantis in the face with the gun and the gun disintegrates. And then he gets, apparently, as we'll see in a second, another gun without ammo.
Right. And that one, or it's that gun, and maybe he fixed it on his way to the...
Put it back together.
Next phase of so they cross another bridge, and it predictably becomes something else, like a giant walking stick or something. It just... Ugh, I hate it.
Oh, this fucking thing.
Yeah, some tunnel rat backs himself into the mouth of some disgusting
slug,
tusk-toothed caterpillar or something, and it closes its mouth on him.
All Jonah style.
The caterpillar at this point, I don't know if he's irritated by tunnel rat being inside of it. He almost seems to attack this large group of peds of some sort. Then tunnel rat blows his way out of the side of it, and it's pretty disgusting, actually.
Yeah,
it was disgusting, but what I found weirder was the laugh he does whenever he comes out.
He just does. It was demonic.
It's like a crazy, like Chucky from Child's Play laugh that he does when he comes running out.
Then you've got Hawk, and he points up towards the palace, and he makes the command that everybody goes up there. There's a glowing beam of energy emanating from there. We see Sergeant Slaughter kick a smaller caterpillar. It kind of reminded me of Mario World a little bit.
Sure.
Whoa.
Sorry, I spit all over you. Yeah, sure, those little smiley ones with the hats on.
Yeah, exactly. While the team then tries to scale the castle walls here, we see our favorite, our friend.
Oh my God.
Our friend Chuckles has a pistol and a bazooka, and he's holding off the
I love this. I love it too. I submit you could not span a further distance between handheld weapons. Like that's like maybe a fly swatter and that thermonuclear device from Starship Troopers, which is apt for all these giant bugs. And also, but that bazooka makes Prime's rifle sound.
It did, yes. I was thinking it was Megatron's fusion cannon sound. Maybe they're one and the same.
I thought, oh, now I'm second guessing myself. I thought it was part, like maybe not the whole thing, but I thought it was part of Prime's, which is part of our fucking script deviations clip. So I guess I should know one way or the other, but.
Back to the drawing board on that conversation.
That's just more of your guaranteed half-assery that you get at the APOD Decast.
The Joes get inside the palace. They are attacked by more stupendously
These fucking
large spiders.
Crab spiders come sliding in from the side.
In out of nowhere, and Sergeant Slaughter busts yet another thing in the face with the butt of a gun. Where he got that Nest controller gun, don't know.
I will say it does seem now his favorite move. Like maybe when you're playing a video game and you find a cheat where you just keep your friend up against the wall and he keeps sweeping the leg or whatever. Okay, so I have a little point here. I've kind of tried to remain, like, not all, this could never happen, because this movie's insane, but a pet peeve of mine is whenever giant insects are included in the world of Earth. It drives me crazy. Because, like, the creatures we featured up to now could have been mammals, like those grub zeppelins or the marauders. These are obviously, like, insects, and... Leaving aside the fact that the physics of their bodies...
It does have furry legs, but...
Well, so do tarantulas. But leaving aside the physics that their bodies couldn't move under their own power, they wouldn't be able to breathe. Because insects breathe through like spiracles in their carapace. Like, they absorb oxygen from the environment. So they... I mean, just... squash is on sale. Thank you, Aaron.
I got the reference.
I just don't... I hate when giant bugs...
I like that that's the thing that you decide to finally chime in and be like, that would never happen.
It's not that would never happen. It's more of a... It just irritates me.
Why didn't they do their research?
It's just a pet peeve of mine. I hate giant bugs on Earth. Like, on another planet, in an oxygen-rich environment, sure. Like, there have been giant bugs on Earth whenever there was more oxygen in the atmosphere, but it just bugs me. It just bugs me.
Bugs you a lot.
It bugs me.
It bugs you.
Thank you, Caleb. Yeah. I'm done with the diatribe.
Yeah, thank you. Falcon flirts with Jinx a little bit at this point.
First date.
He says, not bad for a first date.
So they haven't been on a date before.
Is a romance brewing here, do we think?
A gross-ass one, yeah.
But it doesn't matter because really, Falcon, he's like, cut the shit. We gotta shut that BET down. More
Jinx adopts Sergeant Slaughter's style of smashing the bug in the face.
That's right.
Even though the rifle clearly had ammo left.
So we reach the throne room. Globulus is like, obliterate them. And Serpentor says, vengeance is ours. And I don't know exactly what he feels like he needs to be vengeful for.
It seems like everything's been coming up roses for you this whole time.
Exactly. Unless it's like some sort of...
I think he's referring to the fact that they used to rule the planet, and then there was an ice age, and then the humans took over, so now they're getting back.
But it'd be one thing, like, they kind of just retreated. They could have killed all of humanity.
They really
the planet.
Cut themselves off voluntarily, it seems, but
I think you're right, Caleb.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the only thing he has to be. But also, he doesn't have the right to say that.
Well,
he wasn't there for it.
That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't have the right to do any of this.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's just now found out that he's kind of, sort of, tangentially part of an oppressed people, I guess.
Right.
And he has gone full bore into it.
Right.
I thought at this point, I'm like, where's the time worm? I really thought we should have been cutting back and forth to it like a digital
would provide
readout.
a little bit more
Suspense?
intensity
Sure.
to the moment, for sure.
I will say, spoiler up top, I just hate this whole ending. I think it's bad. It feels rushed. It feels like the consequences are almost ridiculously low.
I think we can get to this.
Hold
off.
I got in the notes. I hate it.
One moment. Slaughter and Nemesis Enforcer, they get right into it. Of course, Jinx and Pythona are going to be paired up.
I hate that.
And they are. And by the way, Sergeant Slaughter's rifle was disabled in this with like some kind of starfish shuriken device.
Also,
here.
though, like, there are two other weapons that clearly do work because we see them later. Just shoot the fucking BET. Just shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, just blow it up. We're talking about equipment versus literally the end of your species.
How many shots is it going to take to blow it up?
I don't either. I don't know. You know what? That's a great point. I do hate.
You're really bitter at this point. You're really
hate
cracking
all
down.
this.
You're really cracking down on the suspension of disbelief.
This whole segment hits a bunch of points I hate. Like this part I hate where the women have to square off. Like the woman has to fight a woman. That shit bugs me.
They are sort of similar even in kind of fighting technique. Like you've got Nemesis Enforcer and Sergeant Slaughter, who are more brute force guys. These two are a little bit more nuanced in their skills and ability.
The other ones seem to have no fighting skills at all.
But what's her name? Pythona disables Jinx's gun here with some kind of acidic karate chop.
Yeah, her venom nails.
And then we've got Falcon to battle Serpentor. Serpentor dives in. Your brother felt my wrath, and so shall you!
I do love the way Dick Gautier delivers these lines. They're awesome. Like, Serpentor's delivery does seem psychotic and awesome.
Yeah, it is really good. My question, how does he know whose brother?
That's a great point.
Keep tabs on the Joe soap opera?
Dr. Mindbender has all their, like, shit on, like, Facebook.
Could be.
This where he's like, he's like mopping the floor with him. It just...
Yeah.
This whole thing.
Falcon grabs the air chariot as it flies by, and he's kind of underneath, just being dragged. It looks painful.
It reminded me of, like, in a second, he looks so bored with it, like it's a job, like he's literally, like, steering, like he doesn't care. And it just reminded me of Ernest Goes to Jail, the part where he's mopping the floor at the beginning, or polishing the floor. I don't know if you guys remember that movie.
I don't remember that at all.
It's where he first gets his electrical powers. He mops on the ceiling, and it goes crazy. That's a great movie. Go watch Ernest Goes to Jail.
Don't do it.
Jim
I don't
Varney,
want you to do it.
R.I.P.
He died?
Yeah,
a while ago.
back.
Oh, man.
Like cancer.
Like 20 years ago.
He was 55. Yeah, he died of cancer. He smoked a lot, like his whole life, and then he got cancer, and then like did a lot of. He went around the country doing a lot of PSAs for children to like not smoke, and used himself as an example. And yeah,
While we're
Slinky
talking,
Dog is done by another actor now.
While we're talking about the deaths of childhood heroes, R.I.P. Sammy B. Goode.
Sammy B. Goode, yeah.
Local 417 area clown host, children's host.
I had no idea how much other stuff he did. Like I didn't know he was in
He was
Branson.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Big Silver Dollar City guy.
He was he was our local, like, if you tune in the morning, Sammy B. Goode, he would introduce cartoons, like Weird Al, like the Weird Al bit in UHF.
Yeah, exactly. And he'd do spots between Voltron cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Transformers and G.I. Joe were in the repertoire.
Yep. He was the guy that brought the funny.
Even had that, he had the same, like, little, audience of kids around him, and he talked to them in between. He was great.
Aaron was on the
Sammy
show.
Goode.
Yeah,
and
that's
my
right.
sister. I went up and did the thing. I'm Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in second grade.
Were you starstruck?
I was nervous.
Mm-hmm. So nothing's changed.
I remember
You're just
this.
constantly nervous.
I remember this. I'm sitting next to my sister and the parents. So the kids are all put up in one sort of little gallery area.
Okay.
And the parents are in another one. But
The
the parents are
put in
camera.
another room.
They're not in another room. They're in the same room.
They're
but
not
they're not
allowed.
on
They're
camera.
not allowed. They're not allowed in the room.
Don't do
same
this.
You're making this weird. No, they're just not on camera. They'll pan the camera to the crowd of kids, but not to the parents who are over off to the side. And I remember after the show, my mom talking about watching my sister who was like a little kid, but she was wearing a dress, but she just kept like
Lifting it up? Like little kids do. Yeah.
And, my mom's like over on the other side, just horrified that's going to end up on television.
I would have loved if there was an outtake of your mom screaming across the stage at your sister.
If anybody, if that happened to anybody, it would be us and my sister. But
That's I saw that. He wasn't that old either. He was like in his 60s. He was 68, I think, when he. Yeah. It was almost, heart attack, stroke, something like that, or maybe it was murder. He was rubbed out.
The article didn't really specify.
I read it. It said he had been in poor health, but it didn't say exactly.
And I know that they don't not everybody wants the macabre details, but anytime I read an obituary or something, especially if somebody's relatively young, I'm always curious as to what the cause of death is, and they never say. And so, in my obituary, my promise is it'll have a full medical report of what killed me, which will be cirrhosis.
I wonder if he maybe slipped on a banana peel or
Oh
something.
no!
Like that.
It's so undignified they don't want to deal with it. But he died a clown's death.
Yeah, he got suffocated because there's too many clowns stuffed in the car.
They were going for the world record.
Yeah, he couldn't breathe.
Speaking of undignified deaths, how does it ever get out that people die by sexual
autoerotic asphyxiation?
Like Carradine?
Like Michael Hutchins?
I think people, I think you could find that stuff if you dig deep enough and bribe the right people, Carradine was famous, and so
People gotta know.
You gotta know.
I mean, nowadays there's no way you could keep a secret, but that's true. Like back in the day, before like the
TMZ.
well, yeah, or the internet at large. Yeah, that's a great question. I guess people are just dicks.
Okay, so back to
where were we?
Yeah.
Let's get back to something much more positive. Nemi versus Slaughter. Slaughter takes a hefty knee to the gut, and he gets thrown up against a wall, but jumps right back into the action.
Shades stay on.
That's right. Staple him to my face.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And he kind of swings around Nemesis Enforcer into kind of a wing hold that doesn't seem too pleasant. Nemesis trips him up to the ground, and Slaughter's face narrowly misses a really powerful heel stomp that no doubt would have crushed his skull, but maybe not Slaughter's. His skull seems to be made
I like
of
how you
concrete.
can see the reflection of the heel coming in Slaughter's shades.
Yeah.
It's a nice effect.
The animation with that fight was pretty good.
Honestly, I think the animation
It's
for
all
this
good.
whole
Yeah, that's all good.
segment is pretty awesome. We go back to Pythona and Jinx, and at this point, the fight looks a lot like the very few female fights that I saw in like junior high and high school, which is basically they're just grabbing each other's wrists and pushing each other back and forth. So and just hair pulling. That's all I ever
know
have
what?
seen when I've seen
I never
like
saw a girl
lady
fight.
fights
I didn't
in
either.
real
saw
life.
lady fights.
Me neither.
So very few, like 5 maybe.
That's a lot in my.
It is really a lot.
Not a lot over 4 years of high school.
Although you seem to have been like ancillary to a bunch of fights. Like I never saw boys fight.
I saw boys fight.
I
I
stay
think
close
maybe
to
you're
that
just.
thing.
I have a whole. I have a whole collection of video called Boy Fights.
Oh no!
That'll be perfect for the website. I'm kicking off boyfights.com.
Oh god! Maybe Aaron, you just like exude some kind of rage virus that causes everybody.
No,
to
I'm just more tangentially connected to people that would fight each other.
It is.
He lived in that part of town.
It is interesting you say that, Aaron. That this seems like a girl fight because you know what? We'll talk about it when we get to the Buzz Dixon part, but that is not unintentional.
Oh, really interesting. Well, I mean, and I have the internet. Of course, I know that badass ladies can destroy each other in all the brutal ways that men can. But this was just reminiscent of my high school experience.
Yeah, the whole holding of the wrist is weird.
Something I never saw in high school was
Wrist grab.
Well, she's got to grab her wrist because she's got those acidic claws.
It's true.
Right, I know.
It's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
There's a really good reason she's grabbing
true.
her wrist.
It's
here.
true. It just feels
And
weird.
again, we have a Sunbow wrist grab.
Yep.
But this time, appropriate?
It's a little different.
It's
the
completely
only
understandable.
Yeah.
The only appropriate one.
Gotcha.
So Pythona, she releases some acid, and so you got to look out for that as you prepare for eternity. Falcon is still being dragged by Serpentor in his chariot.
This is where Serpentor looks bored, where he cuts. Look at this face.
Yeah, he's totally bored.
Paused at 12:21:21.
1:22:21.
What?
He's just an idiot.
And like when we unpause it, look at the way he's driving. Also, he's just fiddling back and forth like someone on a green screen pretending to drive.
He looks like he doesn't know he's dragging.
Exactly.
It
It looks like he's just polishing the floor. And then
Which explains why when he gets grabbed here at the 22-second mark, everybody, including the snakes, looks very surprised.
I love the snake reaction.
That's a good touch, actually.
It is. It's fantastic. I love the way the snakes react to Serpentor being grabbed by Falcon from behind.
Falcon maintains this chokehold as Serpentor is kind of flying around, but then Serpentor hits the button that I guess is the emergency brake.
Yes.
And it flings Falcon forward into a cave wall off of the chariot. Back to Jinx, still wrist wrestling with Pythona. Pythona takes a swipe and melts into the side of the clam creature.
The Cobra Commander.
I presume that was the holding cell,
that's right.
I felt bad for the clam right here.
I feel bad for the clam throughout this whole thing, this whole movie. He kind of flops to the ground, sadly, here. Serpentor shows up in front of Falcon. He says, "Your life has ended," and opposed to the sweet caress that he gives his shoulder snakes, to render them rigid.
Yep.
It just sort of flails a loose snake at
weird.
Falcon.
It was
Oh,
weird
he just
because
throws a loose snake at him. You're right.
it's a new mode, like flaccid snake strangle mode. Like
Yeah,
it was.
I kinda
I was
like-
expecting him to make it a spear, and then he just kind of like. Bleh.
I kind of like it.
I like it too, but I'm like, well, this is new.
You have a snake.
I didn't know they could do that.
So back to Jinx and
As many
Pythona.
snakes as he has, he should just throw them at him until
I know!
until
Just a pile of snakes
until
on top
he's
of him.
buried under a pile of snakes.
Jinx. I mean, if he has the means. So Jinx and Pythona fighting in the fountain area where the clam thing is. And Jinx manages a sort of somersault backflip kick maneuver. I'm sure there's a real judo name for that technique. But she hurls Pythona away from her, giving her the opportunity to unlock her true strength by taking off her mask and putting on her blindfold.
You think she'd do this at the beginning every time?
Or just never take it off?
Just live her life.
Again, why does her mask have eye holes? Like, what's the point? And
she could just turn her mask around. She doesn't need to take it off and then put on a bandana.
She could just close her fucking eyes.
She could throw bleach in her fucking eyes.
Just gouge her
why
eyes.
not just be blind?
She just gouge her eyes out with a knife.
I hate that gimmick. I hate, okay, lady, time for lights out. And as we'll see in a second, it doesn't even really matter. Like, it doesn't really come to anything. It doesn't.
Well, you don't see her necessarily fighting any better.
No!
You just.
In fact, all she does is. Whatever, we'll get to it. I just hate it. I'm upset.
We all know it's.
Why didn't they have Ted Bundy as the main character of this movie?
Yeah.
Did we do that on air? I think that maybe I'll have to tack that conversation on the end for that to make sense.
So Falcon is still struggling. Serpentor's snake is around his neck. Serpentor is delivering some kind of death sermon from the back
It's a pretty great speech.
And from out of the darkness,
Yeah.
once a man.
Yes.
I was surprised by this. I don't remember this end at all.
Oh, really?
I don't remember any of this. But yeah, Cobra Commander comes out fucking for the rescue.
And he knows, and like,
Serpentor just knows that's Cobra Commander. Maybe he heard him talking, I guess. But hey, Cobra Commander! No!
Also, though, like, why do you think he would ever listen to you? You guys did this to him.
Yeah, as Ryan was saying, Cobra Commander in snake mode lunges at Serpentor Snake. They get into a mighty serpent tussle, and it releases Falcon in the process. Falcon gets his hands on a rifle and just fires haphazardly at Serpentor.
Yeah, in a real weird way. Like, so basically he has a laser shotgun, which is dumb. I'm like,
is
why?
Is that what that is? Okay.
Well, it's a shotgun. It's obviously a shotgun. And so I'm like, why? And Buzz touches on this too in a little bit, but why make it look like a real gun if you're going to make it a laser gun? Like, is that the gun that came with his toy? But then why make it it's obviously a real shotgun. Well, it's so stupid.
So it makes sense in a way that, well, let's step back. For them to have to make the guns laser guns, did they have to make them laser guns for the cartoon? Was there a problem with...
does it matter what you get shot with?
Was it a problem using real, animating ammunition, or did it also look better?
It's probably
that
easier
they
to
could
animate.
See there was
you don't have to have smoke.
They could see there was firing involved.
And shells.
I think it's twofold. I think it looks better. You can see where the shot's going, and two, it doesn't look as real.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as real violence. It's more play violence.
And you can always say set to stun if you do have to shoot somebody.
Yeah, but then why make them look like real guns?
Well, it's that fine line of, like, you want people to realize they're shooting a gun, but you don't want them...
I mean, they have NES guns that don't really look like any real gun.
They look like a rifle. I mean,
exactly. Just make it look like that. Just to give him that gun.
Right on.
Okay. The shotgun just it took me out. I'm like, that's really weird.
What if they had, like, a Gatling gun? Pew, 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 pew.
Like,
it's a laser Gatling
Would
gun?
it be as weird if the laser action was more shotgunny? Like if it was more spread?
Like a spread gun in Contra?
Yeah.
It'd just like a Roman candle going off?
If a Roman candle went off in lots of different directions at once.
Yes. Okay.
We'll definitely never get the answers to these questions.
So he's shooting
we just solved it.
So he's shooting the gun.
It doesn't matter because he misses.
Yeah.
He really is firing just wildly.
We go back to Jinx, and I don't know, Ryan. It does portray her kicking Pythona's ass at this point. Like it's very uneven.
It's a blink and you'll miss it.
And at this point, I guess we didn't realize Galopulus was magical.
Well, he got powers from the BET. He somehow could harness energy from the BET.
Okay.
Is that what? Do you think that really?
Yeah, that's what I saw earlier.
I mean, it does look like the energy from the BET is somehow connected to him. Well, no, not really. Actually,
earlier he absorbed power from the BET
to make all the organisms come to life.
Which I'm like, that's impressive.
Well, to me, this felt like he was Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah,
I get a little of that
with the lightning.
But what he does with his power is really bizarre.
It is. It felt very video gamey.
I wrote that down. It felt very end boss secret.
Yes,
secret power.
Instead of just shooting all of the people, he opens that big chasm.
He opens a crevasse between the BET and the fighters, and there's spikes in it.
Yeah, it's very odd.
And so the point of that is to separate the BET from the rest of the Joe crew to I assume to prevent them from getting over there and turning it off.
Guess.
And that at this point, as it opens up, the poor clam creature falls into the crevasse. Then we've got Jinx and Pythona. They're edging towards the very edge of that new cliff that's been created. And Pythona jumps at Jinx, who ducks, and Pythona just jumps into the crevasse.
Real anticlimactic,
Yeah.
which is a thing that just comes back to me again and again. But yeah, that's why I said the blindfold didn't matter, because she just moves out of the way.
The way they animate her hair throughout this movie is always
Pythona?
great. Pythona and her brush strokes that they use for her ponytail. So cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The shine, I love it.
And layers of shine at that.
Bouncing and behaving.
Maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
That's
Makeup.
Okay.
Well, she's got some eye colors working there.
But is that natural? All natch?
Is that a bodysuit or armor?
No.
Jinx at this point says, "I always knew I wasn't unlucky,"
Which is really weird.
I don't know what luck
I
has
don't know
to
what
do
you're
with any of
referencing.
this, because you trained for this.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter is also kicking Nemi Forcey's ass for Alpine, for Bazooka, for Falcon, for
Body
me,
slams.
for Duke.
These are all wrestling moves, yeah.
Lots of body slams, lots of elbow drops. Nemesis Enforcer is fucked up.
Oh, but the last thing he says is, and this is for the U.S. of A.
So
I don't know how effective throwing a flying creature into a crevasse is.
Well, he never comes back.
It's
So
true.
They make it seem like he's done. We've only got, or we think we've only got Serpentor left. I forgot that we even had Galactus.
I know, I completely forgot he was there
still in the
too.
back. I thought, oh man, finally this movie's ending.
Mhm.
But it's
just like
but it wasn't.
the sub boss before the final boss.
Right. Enough! This game is over. So Falcon hops on the Serpentor air chariot again. It seems like it just might be easy to hop on that thing. People are just always doing it.
It is everybody's off and on that thing all the time.
And, it's not providing much real advantage for him.
It seems to be only a hindrance for anyone operating it.
So
And it becomes a super hindrance.
Exactly. No capes. This is a real Incredibles time right now.
yeah, so Falcon gets on it. Serpentor kicks him off, but before he falls, Falcon manages to grab Serpentor's cape. He jams the cape into the motor, the fan that is spinning, and it pulls Serpentor down in it. You know, there should probably be a cap on that.
Yes.
I'm shocked that hasn't happened any sooner.
Absolutely.
Just by accident,
Yeah.
not even with anybody's help.
Somebody should have looked at that and be like, this design is problematic.
Mindbender's like, ooh.
I know, exactly.
It's like, because Mindbender designed that shit.
The ship flies uncontrollably into the sky. I should say that Falcon, he manages to kind of abandon ship here. The ship is just kind of all willy-nilly towards the sky through the heart-shaped sort of membrane of the face of the throne building. And, I guess we don't see Serpentor die. I guess
We hear him die, though. You can hear me like, ugh.
Do you really?
I think so.
You say he's dead?
I remember, let's play it then. We got to play it.
Well, I can guarantee you he's not dead because Buzz Dixon addresses it, but...
Oh, really?
Oh,
I thought he died.
But he's still screaming the whole time.
Okay. I recall it being a crazy scream, and I thought, oh, he's choking to death. But I could be wrong.
I can't remember my facts here, so the world will straighten me out. I think that Sunbow was no longer producing after this movie, and a different animation company made the subsequent seasons of this. And I think Serpentor was in those seasons, but...
Yeah, there is... Well, I'll address it when we get to the Buzz Dixon stuff.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But to address this point of Serpentor flying out of control through a wall into existence beyond...
A window.
Well, whatever. A barrier. It basically reminded me exactly of Rodimus and Galvatron.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't thrown through it, but...
Same thing.
So we'll create a similar animation where we just show Serpentor flying through different scenery.
I love it.
Someday I want to really do that.
Yeah, we won't. We have you like not even wanting to edit the
I want to do that
video.
Let's take some time off. I'll get it done.
I actually have pieced most of it together into one.
Really?
Yeah,
He'll fly by the blown up Terradrome. He'll fly by the
9/11 buildings,
the slaughterhouse,
and the music I want is for the
Sphinx.
That one.
shit like that.
The Sphinx winks as
Yeah.
it goes by.
The music I want for it too is that one where that they have where that kid spins out of control on the go kart or the spinny thing. It's like da 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 da. You don't know this?
No, I know the video, but I haven't seen this one.
Oh really?
No, I've just seen the original one.
Oh yeah, I love this.
My kids love this song though for this very reason, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I have never seen that before.
Oh god, that's the music I want. I'll
the
drop
thing,
that
the
in.
thing that we'll never make. Okay.
Well, if somebody else wants to make it, it did also remind me of.
Not gonna
Did you see that video of the woman getting rescued by the helicopter where she starts spinning out of control? She was This woman was hiking or running or something in the hills and tripped and like broke her leg or something, and she gets rescued and they put her on that plank thing that they raised from a helicopter.
Stretcher.
Yeah, thank you.
It's actually a waterboard.
Thank you. And they start lifting her up in the helicopter, and this must have been the B team that rescued her because she starts a gentle spin, and I'm like, you can probably stop it at this point. And you think, oh, she's spinning, that's unfortunate, but it just picks up speed and picks up speed and picks up
we gotta
speed.
watch it
I
now.
know, we do have to watch it.
She
And
gets
you
really
think it's going to
fast.
stop when you think it's gotten as fast as it's going to get, it gets
gets
faster.
The 74-year-old woman. This woman's
Yes.
74.
Oh,
Oh my!
they came in really late. It starts off way slower than that. I don't know.
I think you get it. I get
Yeah,
it.
but yeah, it just starts off super slow, and then she gets.
Did she said she threw up all
I
over?
don't know if she threw up, but she did get nauseous and I don't know if she passed out or not, but she was fine, but
That's
obviously
so
it was
fast.
unpleasant. And I just imagine all that blood going to your head.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can't even
how
imagine.
did we get here?
I can't remember where we are.
Oh, Serpentor
Air
was an
Chariot,
analog
he's
for
gone.
Galvatron.
You're next, Falcon says, referring to Globulus.
Mm-hmm. We get a glimpse of the worm.
And he just busts Falcon into the body. He body checks him with his big Akbar torso thing. Then he's delivering a little speech.
And then surprise, that's not part of his body.
Cracks the shell open, and we see that, which is gross, by the way, and reveals that his true lower body is a snake.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And he picks up Falcon in a. Okay,
he does toss it to the
He does
side.
just toss his time stick to the side.
The worm dildo.
And he picks up Falcon, gives him a strong hold. He lifts him in the air. I thought at this point he was going to try and throw him.
He's giving
Into the
trying to
pit.
crush him. Yeah.
But he doesn't. He basically just kind of body slams him to the ground here. He lunges at Falcon. Falcon gets out of the way, and Galabi swings his snake tail at Falcon to trip him up.
I guess
which
he's
that's
been
successful.
in that catfish chariot too long because he's really uncoordinated.
He's just got to get his legs back.
He's got to get his
or whatever you want to call them.
snake legs.
Falcon manages to duck a couple more attacks here, but ultimately Globulus snags him. Both of Globulus's hands are wrapped around Falcon's head. The last thing you will hear is the cracking of your vertebrae.
Nice.
But Falcon sees the time worm stick thingy, the maggot of the moment, and he grabs it and crams it right in Globulus's butthole eye.
Yeah, hoisted by your own idiotic petard of a time worm stick.
This gives him an opening to run to the BET and hit a button that will display the image BET deactivated.
Which I guess it must have been too gross for them to show the eye gouge.
I am glad they didn't.
They showed a fucking spear going through a chest.
I'm just saying.
And it didn't seem to hurt him as much as you would guess.
Not hardly
that
at
it
all.
would, because he recovers pretty quickly here. The team celebrates for a moment. Globulus points out it's too late. The spores are.
I love the
spores have
hands.
matured.
The hand illustration where he says what you're talking about, where Globulus comes up to Falcon and says, "You're too late." The hand on both of these shots is awesome. I love the way it's drawn. I have a thing with hands. I love drawing hands.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I can appreciate.
But it's too late. They're mature.
They're exploding, releasing their fine mist of fungal terror, and Globulus just flies away at this point.
You've
lost,
he
G.I.
bumps
Joe.
out.
So new plan, crank the BET to 11, burn up the spores before they enter Earth's atmosphere. And that's what Falcon does, which it causes the machine to overload, and of course it's gonna blow.
Well, the whole thing, all he said, his stupid plan, which works, is just, if I can rev up enough juice, I guess. This is the, like, a plot
As
equivalent.
if he's a BET technician and actually knows how to work this thing.
It just felt like the plot equivalent of reversing polarities. It's just like I guess
Sure.
overload it.
Sure. You got to do something.
He's not really reversing polarities, though. He's just turning up the
I'm not.
volume.
I'm not saying he's reversing polarities. I'm saying it's a bullshit
trope.
MacGuffin.
Yeah.
I don't like this bit.
So the machine overloads. There's no way for Falcon to cross that trench between he and Sergeant Slaughter and Jinx. So it's over for him, and he heroically tells Jinx and Slaughter, "Save yourselves."
Yeah, I thought. Okay. Like I said before, I thought this was like kind of sort of anticlimactic almost, and like not huge stakes. I thought this would have been much more effective, like grander, if the spores had actually gotten to the point where they infected people and people started to mutate, and then Joe had to reverse that. I mean, that feels like there were actual stakes. Maybe
Feels like
made
an extra episode.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it would have made it more complicated and longer, but arguably maybe write a better movie.
And they're all just writhing around real well going, once a man.
Just to the point where they're halfway, like, you know, Schwarzenegger on Mars. Whenever they fly out he's in the atmosphere, his eyes are bugging
Oh, I
out.
see what you're saying. So they get half mutated,
Yes.
but they save them
Yes,
somehow. But we don't even know what the you'd need a cure for that. You couldn't use the broadcast energy transmitter.
sure
to
you
do
could.
it.
It seems like it could do whatever. It doesn't even seem to have any weird. The functions really wildly fluctuate as to what it can do. I just think the whole third act of this movie is bad.
You're really upset.
You're reverse McDonald'sing.
What?
Not loving it.
Great.
Laughed at that.
It took me really by surprise.
At this point, we've got Sergeant Slaughter. He says, "We all go home and nobody goes home."
Yeah, it was a good callback.
And Jinx is like, actually, we probably should get out of here.
I don't like him that much.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter takes his belt off, and
In a maneuver you need to practice.
without saying a word, Jinx grabs one end of the belt while Sergeant Slaughter holds the other. He spins her in a
So
circle,
fucking stupid.
kind of helicopter, elevating her parallel to the ground and positioning her
I love it.
over the bottomless trench.
Grab my ankles.
They yell for Falcon to grab her ankles, which is what he does. Yay! Falcon lives.
So fucking stupid.
Her hold on that belt must have been very strong.
She is spinning as fast as that kid in the go-kart. Like, she's going super fast.
I don't think anybody could have held on. She would have been tossed in that fucking pit. The battle rages on outside. All the telltale times.
All the
turntables.
all the ding dong day.
There's an imminent explosion. So there's a bright, blinding light here, and it's emanating from a central location. And it is tough to tell what exactly is going on at this part because it seems as though part of the throne tower that houses the BET breaks off here and falls into the ground and explodes, killing thousands of Cobra Law troops. Doesn't it seem like that's
it does seem like.
Well, there's an explosion and all those guys are dead, but it's very confusing because then we see all the Joes.
I think they're on the other side of the bridge that was alive that didn't exist.
Maybe.
I like this part where Flint helps up Lady J because it's kind of a neat little. Well, like
they're in a relationship.
they have a daughter later.
It's a wink and a nod.
Larissa Fairborn.
Fairchild.
God damn it! Well, we can never get that name right, so that organically worked out great.
I think Fairborn is correct.
Fairborn is correct. Marissa Fairborn.
So there's more running, more pandemonium. The world is crumbling all around them. Despite what I said, it seems that maybe the tower is actually still intact with the BET in it. It's glowing even more strongly, and it blows. Everybody continues to run. We hear, "Hit the dirt!" We see from outside.
Hey, there's a shipwreck.
Shipwreck
sighting.
around. He was the one who that dragonfly is dust. He was the one who initiated the escape earlier that got them caught again immediately. We see from outside the Cobra Law dome that this explosion. This has to be a 5-mile radius. Explosion.
Nobody should survive this.
It is nuclear fusion.
It's a big explosion
happening right
It's
here.
impressive.
It's
pretty
great,
cool.
Very
it's
well
good
animated.
Yeah.
Very cool. The dust settles. We reconvene to this busted battlefield of Cobra Law. Everything's broken and ashy and smoky, but all the bugs are dead and on their backs. But luckily, all the Joes, are okay.
All the Joes. Because we get a voiceover.
Very immediately. Great time to get for a transmission.
Rust transmission from Doc.
But great news, Duke's out of his coma.
Yeah.
And that news is delivered to the team, and everyone joins together in a hearty Yo, Joe!
Yeah, and then we just have some falling action to kick.
Tunnel Rat and Big Lob embrace. Somebody get going on that fan fiction. And, of course, Falcon and Jinx embrace and smooch because...
I hate this kiss. I hate it. I hate the whole... I hate also the thing is like the female lead and the male lead have to get together. I hate that trope. Oh, God. Everything about...
So bad.
And the way her delivery of the spores are burning up in orbit is very romantic.
Everybody's kind of walking away from the site. It's evening. We revisit Falcon and Jinx. They're alone, standing together on a ledge overlooking the smoky carnage here. And Jinx points to the sky. Look at this. The spores are burning up in orbit. Wouldn't that have just happened to the spores anyway? Do they need the BET to do any of this? Is it possible that...
Yeah, but what I think would be a cool part here is, like she says, look, the spores have all burned up in orbit. And then he turns to her and says, maybe not all of them. And there's like a tentacle coming out of his eyeball.
It's a real Michael Jackson Thriller kind of ending.
Yes.
That would have been a good ending. That would have been a good ending.
And then fucking Falcon says, thanks, big brother.
Why does he say that?
Clearly, it's because Duke is dead, and this is like a tribute, like Duke is watching over them.
Right.
Because then they pan up into the sky, and I guarantee you, if this movie had ended the way it was supposed to end, it would have had a visage of Duke
Like
in
the
sky.
sparkles would have formed into Duke's face.
Like Optimus Prime at the end of Dark Awakening.
Yeah.
It's what seems like they're doing.
Yeah,
they didn't do
Duke
that.
was supposed, as far as they know, Duke is dead. They didn't realize that there was some post-production going on.
Let's take a look here.
Like, I don't see any other reason to pan up like that.
Guys, this movie is over.
Thank fucking God.
We're done with it.
I hated this bit.
I thought the animation was really good. I thought the action was really good. There is a lot of nonsense.
It's just, honestly, I found it boring. I found the end boring.
The end. Okay, yes, okay, fine.
The movie's, like, I found, the whole third act, I think, is garbage. Like, I hate the whole third act. And especially this bit we did from, like, 1 hour, 17 minutes to the end here at 1:30, 1 hour 30. It's boring. It feels like there are no stakes because you know the good guys are going to win. And so the fighting's boring. And I hated it.
I'm fine with all of it from a cartoon angle, except for Jinx and Falcon just getting together.
Above and beyond made me insane.
Pretty stupid. And, I mean, of course, all the Joes should have died. But
I can even let that go. Like, that is the least of my irritation with this whole... I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to be
most of his irritation is the giant insects.
I didn't know I was going to be this salty on this episode.
I'm glad it's over, too, but I will say, like, this movie was really strange to me as a kid. Like,
it's a very strange film.
I've never seen anything like this when it was actually out originally, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit.
This has to be weirder than any actual G.I. Joe episode, and I know there's a couple of humdingers out there.
It's weird. I mean, I would say weird-wise, like, it kind of introduced a level of maturity that I hadn't experienced with these characters before.
Yeah.
And
maybe weren't ready for.
I was ready.
I had pubes.
Grow the fuck up, G.I. Joe.
But I will, as far as weird, there's some really weird G.I. Joe episodes that I know that you guys have no interest in this, but there is an episode of Shipwreck. What's it? Something
the Springfield one.
Springfield. There's two of them. It's like a
two-parter.
That's a weird one, and it's disturbing.
It is. It's very disturbing.
And then there's one called the Game Master out there. That's also it's the one with like they're all on like R&R, and this guy like scoops up Cobra and G.I. Joe characters and puts them through these weird games.
That is basically...
That's the Bareness in the Bikini episode.
That specific plot is in almost every series, I think.
Yeah, so anyway, those are weird. I'd like to cover those sometime, but I get it. We should take a break and go back to Transformers for a while.
I will say, Caleb, you said this before, that this movie felt like more of an extended episode of G.I. Joe as opposed to Transformers movie feeling more like a movie.
I think I said that.
Did
but
you? Okay.
He can take some credit.
Whatever. I thought Caleb maybe contributed something. I guess I was wrong. But this, this was a 5-part episode of G.I. Joe, which G.I. Joe had several of those. They had several 5-parters. So, I don't.
The Serpentor one was a 5-parter.
Yep.
Obviously, the opener, penned by Friedman. So, guys, I think it's time for that.
Deviations.
So Ryan, what did Buzz think of this?
I will. Okay, I felt like I was a little hard on Buzz the last episode, though he was sleepy. It appeared. He's much livelier here.
Oh, really? He came back. He came awake.
He came back. Yeah, it was strong.
All right.
Whenever the creatures detach and attack, he said, "This is where we see everything in Cobra Law is alive." Which is kind of horrible. Like, you just have this mantis being a bridge constantly. That seems like a terrible life, but...
Are we to believe that everything here is the result of their science? Like,
I
the
think
genetic
so.
engineering and whatnot?
I think that's the implication.
They had a science... They were like, hey, we need a bridge, but we also need a man...
But we need it to
a
be...
walking stick.
We need to be fucking weird about it. Like, you
I
guys...
want to see the brief on this.
What is that? Is that made of stone? No. Make it an insect.
The marketing guy is like, functional yet frightening.
In this instance, they're really like form before function.
Mm-hmm.
For the giant bugs, he says, this sequence has some nice Hieronymus Bosch moments in it. Just really surreal scenes of bizarre creatures, monsters. The animators really did a good job with this. And Caleb, you were nodding. I was going to throw this to you, but yeah, Bosch, tell us who he was.
Bosch?
Yeah.
Yes, he was a Renaissance era artist that painted scenes of hell.
Yeah.
And they were usually these grotesque creatures that were consuming humans, and humans were suffering in these weird,
super surreal.
Yeah, they almost say he was like kind of a grandfather of surrealism, because the stuff was, and it is quite disturbing.
It's crazy. Yeah, I looked up some of his paintings because I'd heard the name before but couldn't place it, and they're pretty upsetting.
Yeah, they're very realistic looking.
Yeah,
but yeah. Anyway,
have we talked about this before?
About Bosch?
Bosch, no.
No, I mean, his stuff's cool. It's compelling. It's also frightening, but it was meant to be both.
There was a lot of, like, hell was a very popular painting subject in the Renaissance.
Yeah. And you look at some of it, it's
Visions of Hell.
Yeah, and which is what it is. And, it's quite disturbing. And surreal is a very good word for it. It's you
can definitely see that Dolly took some influence from Bosch.
I would say Dolly took a lot of influence from him. I can't imagine anybody looking at that back in the day without experiencing anything like that before, and I'm sure the intention
was quite shocking.
Was to scare them straight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it kind of scares me straight, even though... Yeah.
We just clicked on one where there's a guy who's straddling a knife.
Giant knife. Yeah. It's
just gross.
Yeah, everything's just terrible. So there's Bosch.
All right, that's Bosch. Listeners, go look that up and just have a hell of an afternoon.
Yeah.
Tunnel for when Tunnel Rat bursts out of the. We just clicked on one where there's a guy coming out of an anus or something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Take it away, Aaron. I can't concentrate.
Absolutely. So, Tunnel Rat, when he comes out laughing maniacally that way...
That's kind of a Bosch painting.
That's true. It's true. But Buzz Dixon says, that laughing, in case you're wondering, Tunnel Rat is supposed to be a little bit crazy. And he's like, they didn't punch that up that much in the movie, but that was the implication. Is that
they're all crazy, though.
It's true.
With the exception of Jinx.
But then I got to thinking, is that like a Vietnam PTSD situation? Because these Tunnel Rats... First of all, that's a really tough job, especially in Vietnam.
Yeah,
those guys were really fucked up.
It's a little crazy, man.
The Jinx and Pythona fight, he says, this little sequence was our homage to Falcon Crest's infamous cat fight. I don't know if you guys remember Falcon Crest.
Yes.
But for the listeners, the short explanation, Falcon Crest was an 80s nighttime soap.
Like Dallas.
Yeah. Or... Dynasty.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
But there was a very famous cat fight between the two. I hate the term cat fight. I guess that's kind of.
But that's what it's called. Because there's scratching and claws.
Yeah. There was an iconic fight between the two main female leads in a fountain.
Yep.
And that's why they're in that fountain.
That's right. Which is a pretty good wink and a nod. It shows you how popular this type of television was.
Absolutely, it was a new thing. Yeah, I remember. I watched Dallas. I watched Falcon Crest and Dynasty. I watched them all. Buzz says, I always wondered, for the same on this one, I always wondered why, if the Joes are using lasers, they made them look like shotguns. And in reference to Serpentor flying out the door, he said, we had to have all the characters disposed of in a way that didn't concretely prove they had been killed, so they could come back.
You know, and I never realized until you just pointed out to me for some weird reason. Globulus does not die.
He just fucks off.
He just fucks off.
And
I don't think he comes back.
You could still retcon, if they wanted to use Nemesis Enforcer or Pythona, they could have survived.
Wow. Shit.
Buzz confirms they cut the eye gouge. He says, it's odd the areas where they got squeamish and where they didn't.
So there was animated cells of the eye gouge?
He had it in the script, yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the script.
And I guess they must have animated it because he says they cut it out. So
I don't disagree. For some reason, I'm real squeamish about eye gouging. I'm
a lot of people have that.
I'm okay with a snake to the body, but an eye gouge.
It's like where some people are weird about like fingernail stuff,
Yeah.
or like teeth stuff.
Yeah.
Then whenever Doc says Duke's come out of his coma, Buzz says bull. He's very upset about that. He really seems like he's mad about the fact they retconned that. Buzz gave the credits after the end of the movie. He talks a little bit. He says Buzz gave big props to Wally Burr. He says working for Sunbow was probably the single best experience of my life. He told a story about Frank Miller dropping in one day, which apparently he came in quite a bit, and was telling them about his new DC project, which eventually became The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. This was weird. There was a weird arms race that went on because both G.I. Joe and Transformers were being, produced at the same time at Sunbow. One day, Flint Dilley brought in a decommissioned 20mm anti-aircraft shell. Flint Dilley was the basic story editor for the Transformers movie. And then the next day, Buzz brought in a dummy hand grenade. And then after that, Flint brought in a 105 howitzer shell. And then Buzz brought in a 100-pound bomb he bought from a Hollywood Army surplus store. And it ended there, I guess. But I'm like, they just kept bringing in bigger and bigger weapons, which was very strange.
That's cool.
And then Flint brought in a live handgun.
And he just started shooting up the place.
That's right.
Then the last thing Buzz says, which I thought was really nice, he says, this was one of the best experiences of my life. I was very happy to work on G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, Inhumanoids, Jim. And if people listening to this enjoy what we did, I'm very happy because we were trying our best. And if we're being remembered 25 years later, then thank you. And it was from the 25th anniversary G.I. Joe DVD. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah, that's good.
It's very heartfelt. And that's all the Deviations will ever have.
Nice. Well, that feels like a good way to end it.
Absolutely. He seems like you met him. Seems like a really decent, nice dude.
I had a good exchange with him. Well, then let's get into the
Iconic Joe Minute.
I actually didn't write one down. Because I hated everything about this. Let's see. You guys go ahead.
But you don't have to. An iconic moment doesn't have to be something of joy.
It's true.
It can be like, what did you hate the most?
Yeah.
Or, what was particularly grinding for you?
You guys go first. I have to think for a second.
Aaron?
I just like how much more extra Cobra Law got.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as if it wasn't crazy enough. Now it's even crazier and more big, creative, crazy, ugly bug things. Like that's everything. That's a statement for the movie. Cobra Law was the best thing about the movie. Everything about Cobra Law was shocking. And
it does. You're never ahead of Cobra Law.
No.
They always surprise you with what's going to happen.
Right.
And so, so that kind of surprise and everything that came with it.
Right on. I will stick with my Cobra Commander theme.
Mm-hmm.
When I was little, I was really relieved to see he was still alive and came out as a snake when fighting the snake. But then I was always compelled of what happened to him?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't paying any attention to the fact that Globulus ran off. I was always like, what happened to Cobra Commander?
You know what? Honestly, I'm going to second that and say Cobra Commander, that is the one part I liked about this episode we did, was seeing Cobra Commander come back into the fight and save Falcon.
He redeemed himself.
I was happy to see him. I felt good when he was on screen for 12 tenths of a second. that's not a thing for like a couple seconds and then fight the other snake. That was the one part of this thing where I was like, oh, I like that. So there you go.
Speaking of redemption, did Falcon redeem himself?
I mean, he saved the world. So I guess, yeah.
Does that redeem how
I
big
think
a
saving
douche
the
he
world
is?
redeems most things.
Does he, do we feel like he's grown?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's not as I don't think it's as obvious. His arc isn't necessarily as obvious as like Hot Rod in Transformers the movie, but I feel like there is some maturity going on there.
It's not obvious at all. You see Hot Rod go through different trials that help him grow. Falcon goes from like douche to hero in a second.
Yeah, he even that part where he's cocking the shotgun in the base, he's still really coming in hot.
Having his brother die in his arms was probably a very eye-opening experience for him.
Falcon, do your country proud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that made him go from
I
douche
guess.
to hero probably pretty quick.
He's still sexually harassing Jinx while they're
Yes, there
trying
is
to
that.
fight off the insects.
Some first date, huh?
But
Yeah.
again, she is apparently receptive to his. So maybe it's. I guess she's into it, but he has no real evidence that she's into it.
Well, it is almost like this is all done by men.
They do kiss.
What?
They do.
No.
They do kiss at the end of the movie.
I hate that. Have I mentioned it?
So now we've got something special. We are going to interview our favorite G.I. Joe superfan, and that's a segment we're gonna stitch in.
Basically,
here.
the guy you can blame if you hated all of this. He's
Yeah.
the one who suggested it in the first place.
It is on him. So let's just go to that right now.
Absolutely.
So this is a special segment that we've got going on here. The thing I think everybody understands or needs to understand is that we're frauds here at the Autopod Decepticast. We are 2/3 more in love with Transformers than we are with G.I. Joe. And don't get me wrong, we like G.I. Joe the movie, but it really... Okay, well, Ryan has some things to say, or has had some things that you've probably already heard.
A rough episode.
but we like it in general, and it feels a little like we're committing infidelity to our one true love, Transformers. But, you know, every now and again, like Larry David in season 4 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, you get a hall pass, and G.I. Joe is our hall pass. And as soon as we're done fucking the shit out of that sexy, sweaty, muscly movie, we're going back to Transformers, who are nice and safe, and they put a roof over our head. And so to properly tribute the G.I. Joe brand and those who love it, I think we felt it's necessary to bring on someone who, by the way, advocated quite hard for
You
us
know who to blame
actually-
if you hated the G.I. Joe
for us
episode.
to go down this Joe movie path. And so we wanted to chat with the biggest, at least as far as I can tell, the biggest Joe fan in our little universe here. So welcome to the Autopod Decepticast, G.I. Joe superfan, Sean Serge Bomba Walsh. How are you, man?
Hey guys. Oh, yeah.
Edit in some crowd effects. Thanks for coming on. I think this would be a good opportunity. Like, who are you? And what is it you're doing on Twitter? Because I think we pay attention to a lot of the stuff that you're doing. It's always entertaining. Give us a little background, man.
Oh, good God. Start with the easy questions. Okay. Well, don't know what I'm doing on Twitter, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing on social media, but there we are. I guess being social or trying to be social, there's really kind of no point to it. It's just having fun, enjoying talking to people who have similar interests. And somehow I found the Autopod Decepticast, because I'd heard once that there aren't very many Transformer podcasts, and
That can't be true.
I've seen a couple mentions of it every so often. They're like, oh, it's not enough. I'm like, really? I found one? Jesus. And it was a minute by minute, and I'm like, well, good. I never really gotten into the whole minute by minute thing. But I'm like, hey, Transformers, I know that movie. Great. I enjoy that. And started
Yes,
listening.
you're a very early adopter of
Yeah.
our podcast. You're like one of the first.
I was like trying to search my tweets to find out how I found you guys, and I don't know how. I found the first tweet where I was like, oh my God, this needs to be a thing. There we go. So I'm like, at some point, I searched and it came up, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, wow.
Would it be accurate to say you are a super fan of G.I. Joe the movie?
Of G.I. Joe the movie of G.I. Joe, yes.
Just G.I. Joe? Okay.
Just that. That's the only thing I'm a super fan of in my life. I wish I'd have one.
You do on Twitter. You do a lot of commentary about horror movies. I see. Like, are you kind of like a B movie, a horror movie buff type person, or like what's like the live streaming that you do? What's it all about, or what's that driven by? Where's that passion come from?
Mostly like the groups that I found of the live tweeters. I just happened to, again, something I just came across, and I was like, oh, okay. People apparently, it's kind of like MST3K. With like an audience or with a group of people who are also doing it. And that was, immediately appealing. So I'm like, oh, great, let's do that. So that's pretty much being a big part of the whole Twitter thing for me.
So literally you're watching with a lot of people. I don't know how that works. I'm social media ignorant.
Y'all, basically, there's like a lot of groups of people who they'll just, they'll meet up online and, like say every Friday night or Saturday night or, certain preordained times, we say, hey, we're going to go watch this movie at 8 o'clock. And then we all find it on YouTube. It's it's just YouTube stuff. We start watching it and we just start riffing through it, and that's pretty much what live tweeting is.
I definitely appreciate you live tweeting the Joepisodes.
I always love those. Yeah,
fun to read. I always I look forward after we publish to getting your take on it and also learning where I suck personally.
No.
But
the dreadnoughts.
Yeah. But well, tell us. Okay, so G.I. Joe superfan is how we have positioned you here. So hopefully you feel like that is true.
We did notice that G.I. Joe the movie is playing currently in your home over your shoulder there. Which apparently we're at the part where Serpentor lands his plane.
Oh yeah, look that scene that they had to fix for some reason.
So. Yeah, like Aaron was saying, just tell us a little bit about like your connection to G.I. Joe, maybe your like history with the movie when you saw it, or just that kind of thing.
Well, like I said, G.I. Joe's. I've been on board with G.I. Joe probably ever since the Real American Hero stuff started. Collecting the toys, the cartoons. Got into the cartoons immediately. I mean, it really went until beyond the movie to when the toy line ended, when the comic book ended.
Did you see the movie in the theater? Or
well,
no?
It never had a theatrical release.
Stupid question.
That was what I was going to ask. Like, did you realize it was a movie because it was only a 5-parter that was released?
Oh no. These are the olden days before the internet, before we we knew that there was a world out there that could be shared amongst others. So it was just another 5-parter. Kind of, I think it had been called G.I. Joe the movie back then, so we kind of knew, this is supposed to be a movie of some sort. Okay. And I remember it airing, I think it aired in April, I want to say, of 1987.
That's a hell of a memory.
Say that's specific.
Oh no, I looked that part up. I did.
Oh, okay.
Like,
peek behind the curtain.
Did you see it first on television, or did you see just that tape in a video rental store kind of situation?
No, I saw it on TV. It aired.
Gotcha.
For some reason, it aired in my area. I want to say after 6 or 7 o'clock at night, which was really weird because it wasn't on the normal time. I'm like, okay, well, this is, immediately it stood out. I'm like, why is this airing at night? So it was something a little off about it. But yeah, and then suddenly after that aired, there weren't any new episodes, and that was our way to find out, I think it's over. Okay. And we just sat around for months, just lost what to do.
Right.
Just wandering the streets.
Yeah, I didn't go to school. I didn't eat.
There was a lot of ambiguity to the ending, but what were your first impressions as a child watching that? How did it affect you?
I was a very gullible child, so if I was presented something in a show and it was something I already liked, I didn't assume at that age that it was terrible. I just was like, oh, okay, great. Oh, secret underground world in the Himalayas. Filled with sure, okay, that's fine. All right. Oh, this is where Cobra came from. Hey, all right, that's great.
I think that's true.
I was the same way.
I think it's just true of kids of you're watching something. It's like I remember being 11 and realizing, there are some movies that aren't good. What? Right. It's just a movie. Something you're just absorbing it. It's like the same way when we were kids, I didn't realize that maybe the fact I can't win this NES game is bad game design, not that I suck.
Well, this was the same year too as the He-Man movie. Which, if you've ever seen the He-Man movie,
absolutely,
I have. It is absolutely nothing like the cartoon.
Bonkers.
And even then, I watched it and I'm like, oh, all right, that's fine. They're on Earth. Great. All right. I didn't realize back then it's because these people couldn't afford to make a movie that took place on another planet. They just had it take place in some, downtown abandoned. It's like, all right.
That's a canon picture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
It always amazes me whenever they made the decisions to make these movies and just not follow any historical canon. It's just like
It was a cash grab. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it is.
But if it's a cash grab, why spend the creative energy to create a different universe for that?
It's been proven. It's been proven that it doesn't matter.
If that's the case. Well, was that movie a financial flop though?
It was.
It was
Yep.
actually.
It actually
Maybe it does
folded
matter.
Canon Pictures, basically.
Are you a collector? What do you got? What's up your sleeve here?
G.I. Joe.
Of G.I. Joe, not bodies.
That's Ryan's hobby.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to show you that pile. I got like a lot of the old figures. I mean, they were old stuff I played with. So, there's nothing like, mint in box, any of that stuff. I still have a big bin of all my old G.I. Joe vehicles, half of which are broken. But, at the same time, if this place lights on fire, I know what I'm grabbing first. I'm grabbing all that stuff.
Do you have the USS Flag?
No, my cousin had all the big stuff, all the, like the Rolling Thunder and the really big vehicles that were like complex. He didn't have the spaceship, but meanwhile, I pretty much had the little stuff, which I'm more than fine with, like the medium-sized vehicles.
What is the best one?
The tank.
Well, there's lots of different tanks.
The Joe, in my opinion, the green original Joe tank.
Yeah.
It was because the detail on it was amazing, and it was motorized, and you could turn it and it could go in reverse. I loved it.
Okay.
That's Caleb's answer.
There you go.
Oh, I always liked the his tank, the original Cobra.
Yeah.
Cobra tank one with the cockpit and the top.
The G.I. Joe toys were always amazing. Like they had some really excellent toys.
Well made.
Oh yeah, they were always well made. Yeah.
What were favorite Joes?
Favorite Joes. I always like. I'm not gonna say like Snake Eyes or Duke or any of those because that's just boring.
That'd be so basic.
Yeah, don't say pumpkin spice.
Well, the thing with G.I. Joe that kind of introduced me into the idea of having like these giant casts of characters, and I always kind of gravitated more to the ones that they never really developed that much. Again, and I was a kid, and sometimes I would see a colorful character, and I'm like, oh, he's neat. That's pretty much my basis for like characters. But then I'd see kind of like story potential and like like those waves of characters who came between like the movie and the next cartoon series that they never did anything with. And I thought, oh, that would be, I like those guys, because then I had to come up with the stories myself. When we were playing with the toys when I was a kid, it's like, all right, and so certain figures here and there I liked more, and then you read a comic book and you realize, oh, they really liked Scarlet and Snake Eyes and the Ninjas and Zartan and all that, and I'm like, oh, all right, that's fine. They weren't my favorites, but
So you really like the B team?
Oh yeah, and the C team and the D team.
How many years were they making toys in that size that were kind of part of that same universe?
It was like 12 years, I think. It was like from 82 to 94.
Wow.
Yeah.
Basically, after 87, everybody was sort of like, you got to make up your own story for them.
Well, I mean, for some people, they had the comic book the whole time. I got into the comic book like about a year after the cartoon. So, a lot of kids, that's how they get. I get into comic books probably a lot later than, one would think that a comic book collector would have gotten in. Because I was like 12, 13, maybe 14 years old, somewhere in there. So it wasn't part of my life when I was a little kid.
I'm trying to remember, when did the Transformers comic book shut down?
It was
Marvel.
the mid-90s, I think.
Was it mid-90s?
I think it was, or maybe early 90s.
91, I think.
Much longer did the G.I. Joe Marvel series go on?
I think that ended in when it ended when the toy line ended, so it would have been about 94.
The only G.I. Joe comics I read were the G.I. Joe versus Transformers comics where they murdered Bumblebee.
Yeah.
And
okay, so one thing I did want to ask you, Sean, in reference to the movie, do you think Duke should have died?
If you turn the sound off in those two scenes in the movie, he's dead. And
Absolutely.
And you can accept that, and I at times I accept. There was no cartoon after this movie. There was never another cartoon series ever. It never happened. Never. Don't fall down that rabbit hole. There's pain there.
Oh no.
I was going to ask that question. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier. The I can't remember the name of the animation studio that picked it up after Sunbow and after the movie. Do you recall off the top of your head?
DIC. D-I-C.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so
Deke.
those aren't well regarded, right, among
They
the
make
fandom?
some good stuff, and these are the guys who did Inspector Gadget, so
Mhm.
those weren't badly made. But by the time 1990 rolled around, they didn't really care. So they literally got it because they said, "Hey, we can produce it at half the cost," and that was it. And
I
they were like,
recall the
"Sure."
animation being relatively okay, though. I recall it being not bad. Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I need to go back.
Opinions may differ on that. Yeah, well,
I have no memory of it
story
at all.
quality was. I mean, some of those are just horrible. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure if someone walked in and watched the original show, they'd think, "Oh my God, this is terrible." But I guess I was getting older at that time, and when I saw them, I just said, "Oh, what is this?"
And in that, did they find Cobra Commander and restore him?
Yeah, they revealed. I think Serpentor kept him in like a jar or something, like a big jar. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is literally how it began. And I think the Baroness. Oh, I don't even want to fall. No, I can't fall down this rabbit hole. This is terrible.
So they do explain the
They explain
attempt to
how
explain the events of the movie and bring it back.
They don't. I don't think they mentioned Cobra La by name, but they kind of acknowledge. Yeah, Cobra Commander's a snake, and now he's a man. And that's literally it. I mean,
Oh man,
then
that's
they
a bummer.
move on- Then they move on to their own, whatever the hell they were doing, and there were maybe a handful of okay episodes, but it got to the point where they were. I think the infamous one is like G.I. Joe versus Cobra on like a playground, and Cobra was beaten terribly, and it was just embarrassing.
I can tell by the expression on your face and the tone of your voice. This has been like pulling teeth, trying to get you to remember this horrible thing that you wish you just could forget.
If I reach over here, I can actually touch the DVD set of all those horrible things.
Oh no!
No, I hate them. I still own them.
You got to be a completist.
Yeah, I'm not as much of a completist anymore, but about Joe, I kind of, in part, have to be. So,
What does this brand mean to you as you go into adulthood? I know that
As he goes in, he's there, baby.
We're all almost middle aged.
We're all very good.
Yes. So let me rephrase. As an adult, what does it mean to you? I know it exists in the IDW universe. I don't read those. I don't know in what other ways it exists. You just educate us ignorant people. Like where is it and what does it all mean to you and where should it go?
I've heard a lot lately. Well, it's a nice throwback. I mean, when they try to modernize it, it kind of doesn't work totally. Sometimes it does. IDW worked for a while, but even then, they kind of realized that they just had to go nuts with it, which is on face value maybe isn't the best thing to do. But then you read it and you're like, oh, this is actually fun. Like there's something really fun about sticking to the original intent and sticking with all those, original characters and how they look and how they behave.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot lately. Like I said, some people try to modernize it. And I think Hasbro's trying to modernize it going forward, which I don't know. I mean, they did make those 2 movies several years ago, which
They did make those movies.
they did. Yeah.
Do you like those movies?
Fun story. I actually skipped work to see Rise of Cobra twice on opening day because I was so happy there was a G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily hate it, but as the years went on, it's not a pleasant viewing if I do.
It hasn't held up.
You see them with speed suits running through Paris, and you're like, what? Okay, that doesn't work for me.
As far as the movie, we talk about iconic moments a lot.
Iconic Joe moments.
Oh yeah.
If you had one to pick,
Give us your iconic
what
Joe
is your
moment.
what is your iconic Joe moment?
For the movie.
The first 2 minutes of the movie. The intro.
Well,
That's
sure. You go the safe route.
No,
I know I know it's safe. I've seen people review this movie and say if you just watch the first 2 movies, it's worth it. Like you could just skip the rest of the movie.
Beyond that, though, I mean, you have to find it enjoyable to an extent, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's them going nuts, and we kids were just along for the ride. And if you were the right age, it stuck with you, and if you weren't, it was just dismissible pablum. And like, oh, all right. But,
I gotta ask what are your thoughts on the story arc of Cobra Commander? Like, I feel so sorry for him.
We didn't get an actual Joement from him.
Oh, sorry.
well, I mean, it ties in because probably my favorite, my iconic Joement is his descent into being a snake. I guess
Yes.
that's the blunt way of saying it. But whenever he just keeps toward the end, he's just repeating, "I was once a man, was once a man."
Yeah.
I'm like that will always stick with me.
It's
Just
compelling.
And
It's so
just,
psychologically twisted.
It's so
It's compelling.
upsetting.
and literally everyone who looks at him, whatever thoughts they had about the man before, like, this is a terrorist, and they just all feel bad for him. They're all like, just horror and sadness, and it worked. As far if I had a favorite character in G.I. Joe, it's Cobra Commander. So when they did that to him, I'm like, oh my God, dear God.
I think Chris Latta's voice work with Cobra Commander and Starscream has a lot to do with why those two characters are a lot of people's favorites.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You are. Let me make an assumption here. You're a bigger Joe fan than a Transformers fan.
Yes, that's true. Not that I'm not gleeful about it, but because in high school get me into Transformers, which ended up being a lot of fun. But a lot of that was kind of going back and looking like 7 years at a movie, and it's like, okay, well, this is odd. What the heck? Because literally, I think I saw the Transformers movie before I ever really saw any of the episodes.
Right.
I never.
Oh wow!
I cannot explain that one. I just didn't want to watch Transformers when I was a kid. So
Robots in Disguise didn't connect with you at the early, but you were, those episodes were going on while you were connecting to G.I. Joe. You just never connected to them.
Yeah, just for whatever reason, I said, "Oh, Transformers! I don't want to watch that." I was at one point long ago a GoBots kid, so maybe that's it. I don't know.
Huh.
I'm hanging up.
That didn't last long, trust me.
So forget about the brands then, or just your love for one brand over another. Now let's just say G.I. Joe the movie versus Transformers the movie as their own artistic enterprises. Where do you stand?
Really backing him into a corner here.
I have such an affinity for G.I. Joe, it's tough to not say G.I. Joe. That's not saying anything bad about Transformers, because that is enjoyable. It's beautifully, both of them are beautifully animated. So
if you put on your critical hat and take away nostalgia or love,
Which is something we have not been able to do ever on this podcast.
but I'll be the one to do it. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
That's why I'm here.
I asked the question. I know you guys have got to go.
Yeah, I did want to. My stupid sister has her wedding reception today, and so
It's her second wedding, so whatever. Not important.
might be third.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm related to her, I think.
He's not a good brother.
I also forgot to get her a gift, so I may just hand her cash like an uncle.
Why don't you just give her that mattress that's in the back of your van?
Oh yeah, bitch! I got your mattress.
Why don't you just let her use the van for an hour after the wedding?
Well, that's
We're terrible
Now you're
people,
gross.
Sean. We're terrible people.
Now I'm gross.
I did want to ask you, Sean, just as we wrap things up here, is there anything you wanted to talk about or promote or anything you are really interested in right now?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So if
Good answer.
if
No,
people,
I don't know. I'm glad to be a part of this. This has been, a wonderful podcast to listen to for,
oh, thanks.
gosh, like 3 years now. You guys been doing it that long?
Over 2 years.
It's about two.
Almost 2.5.
Let's not make it about
And
us.
we did announce on this episode we will be at TFCon in D.C., so we'll all be together.
Are you going to make your way to DC? That's close to you.
It is close to me. I'm gonna try. That's usually my answer to a lot of conventions these days. Is I like to go. I'll try to go, and then I just never go. But I did hear about the DC.
You can stay in Caleb's room.
Nope.
Hey,
No offense. You'll hear it on this episode. I have a thing for having people sleep in the same room as me. No offense. It's not you. It's everyone.
okay.
Well, okay. As we wrap things up here, Sean, if people wish to follow you and find you online, what are all your things?
Well, I got rid of the Facebook this week, actually. So there's no.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
Oh, you know, someone noticed. Oh, thank you.
It's all good.
We will not promote your Facebook page.
But no, pretty much it's just Twitter these days at Serge Bomba. However, whatever that means, I don't know.
If you see Elton John on a swamp buggy, that's Sean's page.
Yeah,
It's a time machine. It's the time machine.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
right.
how the hell I found that, but as soon as I saw it, I said, "Well, that's just going to be my banner forever."
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for like not only being an early adopter of our podcast and being so interactive, but forcing us to do GI Joe. I guess
It was fun. No, it was fun.
Well, I mean,
I don't know why I say forced, like we're contractually obligated to follow.
Yeah, we did do it.
We did.
Does
It
this
was
mean-
an enjoyable journey.
Does this mean you're doing the My Little Pony movie next? Because I'm out. If
No, we haven't gotten that desperate yet.
No, we're gonna go back to Transformers for quite a while.
Well, yeah, we've been talking about it, and I think we'll be mostly Transformers, but I think we've been talking. There are some weirdo Joe episodes that we should probably work into the mix.
Yes.
So there'll be a little sprinkling, a little spice of Joe. I think it'd be nice to invite you as an actual Joe expert to whenever if we cover a Joe episode. Would you be willing to hop on and be the expert for us and provide your own commentary along with us?
I'm actually writing down actual Joe expert.
Put it on your business card.
Going to be on my yes, it will be on my one social media page whenever I listen to the podcast. And then when I ask that question, they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to promote this and that."
Sure.
Like, I literally have nothing to promote.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying my life in one small way, I guess.
Well, we
all the
really-
other ones, all the real world ones suck, but this is a great one.
Yeah.
Actually, I have an Instagram too, but I have no idea what that is.
Great.
It's my name.
We do too, and we don't do anything with it.
We do jack with.
All right, I got to bump out.
Sean, I got to leave too.
Okay.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah,
Finally,
good to see you.
Everybody's got commitments. I guess I'll go talk to my wife.
Oh no.
I meant that in a nice way.
See ya.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Sean's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. This isn't
Do
recorded.
we want multiples of those? Like you got that one. I was one like, well, that didn't go very well. Wow.
Better have that covered, yeah.
I kind of regret that we interviewed him. Yeah.
That's it for GI Joe. What do we got on the pipeline, guys?
I think more GI Joe.
Just riots
All
in the
G.I.
streets.
Yeah.
Auto Joe Deceptio.
Yes, that's right. Deceptio Autopo.
There are great. That's great. There are several. We're definitely getting back to Transformers for a while. There are a lot of especially season 3 episodes I would like to visit.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to a lot of TFU, and he's gotten into season 3, and it's reinvigorated my I don't remember fucking that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do Five Faces.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do. This is I think season 2 episode, the Golden Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then also the Rage Virus one, the second return of Optimus Prime.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure the one where they put Galvatron in a space
psychiatric
insane asylum
hospital
type of thing. And I'm sure there's plenty to talk about with the seasons 1 and 2 as well. Powerglide's girlfriend.
Yep.
I can't remember. My memory is kind of shot on all of this.
The Starscream's Ghost.
Starscream's Ghost.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything that has to do with Unicron or is
Mhm.
connected to the movie in that way, I think we should cover.
We'll do that.
And then, of course, we're going to write the script to Transformers the movie too.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
And you guys are going to hear every minute of it.
We'll read it, and it'll be compelling. Don't worry, that's never happening.
Thank you to all who've been supporting us.
Absolutely.
And even those who haven't been supporting us through this G.I. Joe
Special
moment.
thanks to Sean for the interview. We had a lot of
Yeah.
fun. That was good.
It's a good one.
Yeah, but G.I. Joe's over, everybody.
Congrats to Haley, who's won this contest.
Hit me up, girl.
Does not deserve to win it. In my opinion. I mean, others differ.
She couldn't have hated this series more, and she still comes away with winner.
She only listens to the first part until we start talking about Joe. So I don't even know if she's going to hear this at the end.
You know,
You have 48 hours to claim your prize.
all right. Well,
I'm
thank
really
you,
curious
everybody,
what she says.
supporting us. through this. We've got the store, Cup Recruitment poster, illustrated by Ryan. Small restock in action. APDC pin series still out there. Ryan, me, Caleb. Appreciate your patronage. More artwork on the way.
Well,
Maybe we'll have a store at TFCon. We're going to be at TFCon.
We will be definitely. If we don't have a table,
see.
we will definitely be selling stuff at TFCon, selling new stuff. So you will be able to get some of that new stuff.
And yeah, please buy stuff.
Please listen. We don't make any. We are unarguably in the hole as of this podcast.
I'm going to guess we're net $1,000 negative.
Sure, that seems accurate.
But appreciate your patronage, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Continue to listen, subscribe.
It'll be Transformers.
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play. Tune in and leave a review if you'd be so bold,
Doug.
And whoa, no, God damn it! Follow us social media: Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All of them at APodcast, and the web presence Autopod Decepticast.
I will find that fountain fight and put it up on our website.
The one that I could not find.
That's right.
I irritated everybody and forcing them to spend a lot of time to find it.
Yeah, come see us at TFCon.
Peep the shop, check the merch.
DC.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Aaron, was this a good episode?
It was okay.
Great. Too many cooks.
All right.
Are you guys excited like I am for the new Tarantino movie?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
It's got Charles Manson in it.
Everybody keeps saying that, but
It's got Charles Manson in it.
I
keep saying that because it's true.
Here's what I hate.
But I think everyone's fixating on that. I don't think that's going to be a huge part of it.
It's obviously not going to be. And that's what irritates me about even...
It's a movie about Charles Manson. No, he happens to be in the movie.
Which is stupid. I hate when you tangentially... It's like the Ted Bundy movie was pretty good because there was a lot of him. But it focused mainly on the woman. And I'm like, just focus on the killer. Like, I don't understand why we have to make all these movies where the serial killer is not the focus of the movie. It's like the Jeffrey Dahmer movie, where it focuses on his friends.
So wait, are you upset because Charles Manson is not the focus of the movie?
Sure. Like, either have him or don't have him. Like,
yeah, but the movie's not about him.
It's not about him, but he probably
can be a character.
But he probably plays some sort of important part in the plot. But just because, Ryan, there's a serial killer, I understand because you love serial killers. If there's a serial killer in a movie, they need to be the most important thing in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's ridiculous.
Well, why even have him then? Because obviously that is the thing everybody's the most excited about, because everybody's talking about that.
No, but what I'm saying is people should accept the fact that just because Charles Manson's in the movie doesn't mean that he's the most important.
First of all, these are all just opinions, and people shouldn't do one or the other.
I'd say an artist or creator can do whatever the fuck they
absolutely.
want.
I'm saying for me personally, it irritates me.
So that would mean you
and
would
I
also
know
hate Summer of Sam.
Absolutely. That one really disappointed me.
But it's about what was going on around.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't about Sam as much as it was about paranoia.
Yeah,
New York.
It just felt like a bait and switch.
80s. Probably not really.
It's called Summer of Sam.
It's about the summer
of Sam.
It's about the summer. Otherwise, it would just be called Sam.
Impact.
Yeah, it just
if it was called Sam.
Sam the Killer.
Then I think you'd have a point.
Yeah.
I think I still have a point in that I'm just like, why I don't understand. I don't understand why we can't. Like, I guess I'm like, why all this around and not the focus of?
I know. Like, why does anybody want to talk about anything that revolves around one thing?
We talk specifically about the movie, though. We don't talk about how it, like, the fans of the movie.
We don't talk about fans of the movie.
That's not what primarily we talk about.
Listen,
I'm just saying.
You're both wrong.
I'm
wrong.
And I know why
the world is wrong.
The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at least has the I think how they work Charles Manson in, and it makes sense, at least in this context, because I'm sure that the filming of the movie they're doing in the movie is a Western, and I'm sure it takes place on Spawn Ranch, which is where the Manson family was staying.
Yes.
So
Right.
I'm sure that's the tie-in, which it makes more sense. I'm just like, maybe, I guess I just wish there were more movies about serial killers.
Yeah, I think so.
Get on it, Hollywood. What are you afraid of?
Whew.
That was a lot of fun.
Brussels, where we sell good.